Well, the pressure is on as all the drivers are recognizing the end of the regular season just 2 races away. You've got tonight and next week. It is the NAISCC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series here Monday night on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. It's the Get Wet Sports 150 at Pocono, and we're ready for a show. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Zach Hall. Zach, it's the Tricky Triangle Pocono Raceway for 60 laps, and the pressure's on for these drivers.
The pressure is definitely on, Sam, like he alluded to. 2 races that go before our final top 16 are determined. It's going to be a tricky race for sure around this 3-turn, 2.5-mile circuit, but these drivers are going to be looking to get every point out of this 2.5-mile race circuit.
Zach and myself going to be up in the booth talking to you throughout the whole entire night, as well as Brian Johnson being our pit road reporter. Brian, welcome to the booth. What are you expecting from these drivers here tonight?
Well, this place is called the Tricky Triangle. We have to mention it every time we come here, and it is very tricky. Every single corner is different. You have to do something different in every corner. So I'm expecting a lot of mistakes from guys tonight, even those guys that don't usually make mistakes, especially coming out of 1 and 3. That's where the consensus is amongst the drivers. They think that that's going to be pretty treacherous, but I wouldn't leave out turn two. Turn two can be very misleading, especially dirty air, old tires. So really every single corner rather treacherous, and we got to keep an eye on all three.
Well, Brian, since you were talking about the race, well, why not we go down track side? You gave us a little bit of a taste on how to attack the Tricky Triangle. Let's go down track to see how our Freaky Fast truck hit the course.
Welcome to another episode of Team That Turns. This week we're going to be tackling Pocono, otherwise known as the Tricky Triangle. And tricky it is indeed. 3 very different turns with 3 very long straights. So exit speed is going to be very important. And to get that exit speed, you got to do 3 different things in every corner of the track. Turn 1, kind of a long turn, moderately banked. It's got a nasty bump in the center, so you're going to want to avoid that. Turn 2, very similar to Indy, just kind of a quick corner. And turn 3, long corner, but not a whole lot of banking to use, so you got to be careful in this corner. Try not to overdo it. So here we go. All right, we're on the front stretch, just past the start-finish line here. We're headed into turn 1, and like I said, there's a nasty bump right in the middle of the corner, just after entry. Give ourselves a little bit of brake here, put the weight of the truck on the front tires, a little bit of extra turn there, get to the gas roughly about the center of the corner, and we're just going to be focusing on exit speed here. Don't want to wash up too close to the wall, have to put extra wheel into it and cut our momentum down. Momentum is extremely important in these trucks, and it's even more important here at Pocono. Turn 2 here. Early in the run, we're just going to do a little lift, get back into the gas fairly aggressively. Later in the run, you won't be able to do that. You're going to wash up on exit. Turn 3, long, got to be patient on the throttle. Don't want to get back too quick and have to, again, put too much wheel into it and cut your momentum down. Or, in this corner, especially with the lower banking, your rear end could slip out from under you there. And one thing you also have to keep in mind is that these laps are early in the run for me, so I do have fresh tires, and I also have clean air. Dirty air is going to affect how you go about doing these corners. In turn 1 here, you're going to have to wait on that gas. You get to the gas too early, and you will wash up into that wall. So you got to be careful of that. On entry as well, that dirty air is going to affect how well your truck turns on entry, especially turn 2 here. Turn 2, you're honestly gonna really want to try to find some clean air, so you're not going to run your line or the line that the guy in front of you is running, either half a lane below or half a lane higher. Try to do something to find clean air. And turn 3 too, you're going to want to try to do that, maybe enter higher and apex later. But again, anything you can do to get that exit speed is very important here at Pocono to keep that momentum up. So the guys that make the least amount of mistakes and can, again, focus on that exit speed, they may find themselves in victory lane.
Big thanks to that of Brian Johnson for giving us all the great information. And Gotta say, for Brian, he'll be our pit road reporter throughout the night. But Zach, the little bit of crunch time for these drivers. There was a little bit of complication on getting the session built and ready for everybody. Qualifying is currently underway, but it is now come to a conclusion. They're now going to be pushing forward and advancing the session, which means we're getting ready for race time. Got to give our shout outs to our sponsors, that at Race Car Graveyard. If you're looking to get yourself a diecast in either 1/24th or 1/64th ratios, they've got you covered at Race Car Graveyard. You can look them up on Instagram at Race Car Graveyard, as well as finding them on their website. If you'd like to get a promo code to get a little bit of a discount, use the promo code RCGY to get yourself a little bit of a discount, as well as Track Racer to get yourself set up with get yourself set up with a racing rig, or even get yourself finished with your racing rig. Track Racer, Refined Gaming, they've got you covered. And our head sponsor for qualifying, it's the Hot Lap Designs. They can get you designs from anything from your cars, tracksuits to helmets. They've got you covered, and Hot Lap Designs can do it. Thank you so much to all of our amazing sponsors. Cars are getting stacked up and gridded, getting ready to go. Well, let's take a look at where they're going to be starting. As Zach, our top 10, they are looking quick as we get our results popped up. I'm excited on how this race is going to go, but it could turn into a timed race as Zach, that of Vincent Sora is going to take our pole position.
That is pole position for Vincent. So a great time for him to start up front and by a good portion. There's second place going to go to the 00 Ethan Smith, a winner at the Milwaukee Mile. Third is going to go to Mark Whitley, our winner from last week. Fourth going to go to DT Irizarry, a newcomer. Brandon Colley in the one machine going to start fifth. Sixth going to go to the 01 of Aaron Kralik. Seventh is going to be Danny Cochran. Eighth place going to go to Sean Husteller. Ninth is Trevor Earhart, and rounding out that top 10 is Ryan Ferraro.
Then it's going to be Kyle Rochelle, James Loveland in 12th. 13th goes to that of Alex Light. Then Mark Morales Jr. going to be getting 14th. 15th goes to John Forbes. Kyle Gilthouse going to get 16th. Cody Reed in 17th. 18th goes to Thomas Walter. Jesse Thornick's going to be getting 19th, with Gregory Shaw taking that 20th position.
21st is going to be the teammate of Gregory Shaw there, the Carl Pooler in the 71 machine. 22nd is going to go to Cody Dorsey in the 9. 23rd is going to be Tyler Dingler. 24th place is going to go to Christopher Kierk in the 69 machine. 25th, Joshua Free. 26th is John McAdams. 27th, Frank Davis, a newcomer here to the league. 28th is going to be Max Foner. 29th, Tanner Johnston. 30th is going to go to Anthony Eludi. And our last two positions are going to be Christopher Norson, 31st, and Kirk Schweizer rounding our field here in the 32nd position.
32 drivers going to be hitting the course as they're getting underway and rolling on track. But Zach, time could be a factor here tonight. Again, I said it, the session that was made for this race kind of had a little bit of a goof that happened as the session did not go up on time, so I had to quickly get reset. There were some mistakes thrown in. Qualifying for these drivers, they only had one lap to put down. And then also, we will only have an hour to put for this race for 60 laps at Pocono. Zach, that couldn't be a little bit, not enough time for these drivers to finish out this race.
Yeah, when we saw the condition of the server, we were saying, man, well, it's going to play out this way most likely with time now. I do not think they will be able to get the 60 laps in, especially if we only have an hour, which is what we're assuming up here in the booth. Once we take this green flag, we'll have confirmation on that. But, man, yeah, an hour of time, they're definitely not going to be able to get 60 laps, in my opinion, and with a stage caution at lap 25.
Yeah, stage break at lap 25, the fuel window we were given. The drivers will be able to make the stage without pitting, but the goal is, can they make it throughout this whole entire race without adding more cautions or yellows? If we look back to Saturday for the NAISCC Track Racer Cup Series, last time they were at Pocono, it was a wreck-fest mayhem going into turn number 1. We'll see if they can survive it here as the pace car lights are off. We're going through turns 3. It's time for us to get wet and get ready. It's the Get Wet Sports 150 at Pocono. Barney's got the flag. Hopefully you're ready for some timed racing. Green flag in the air. Vincent Sora, Ethan Smith, they roar down the front stretch. And here's the question, who's going to force it 3 wide into turn number 1? Right now they're playing nice and easy. Still just 2 wide as they go into turn 1.
A lot of things to pay attention for these drivers now. The other thing we just added to them to pay attention to is the clock. 59 minutes and 37 seconds left in this race already. And that is what these guys are going to have to be paying attention to all night long. Sam, I think this is going to be a big portion of the show we talk about.
It takes a little bit of time for these trucks to finally get up to full song, full speed, and we're seeing it now up front. Vincent Sora, who's trying to get himself a victory, couldn't get it done last week at Martinsville, but we also know the rivalry that's been building up. Vincent Sora, Mark Whitley, both of them in our top 3 as they go through turns 3. Where is turn 4? You don't need it. The tricky triangle out of turn number 3. Vincent Sora looking to lead lap number 1 as we'll keep an eye on the clock. Again, they only had 60 minutes, 1 hour to finish out this race. We do have the stage break on lap 25, but now everyone needs to make the moves. As you can see, the back half of the pack, they're 3, almost 4 wide, but up front, it's just up front 2, Sora, Smith, as they're coming out of 1.
Yeah, back here around Martin Morales in the 24 machine, the 29 of Kyle Guildhouse. There's multiple guys back here, all in this Hornet's Nest, and we've already got a driver with multiple major damage on the front of that car, and I'm trying to see exactly what it is. I believe it's Gregory Shaw in the 66, who's got a lot of right front damage as Christopher Keurig drops back in the 69 machine.
Yeah, great call from our production team. That of Robert Moyer, who saw that the set of 69 getting loose out of turn number 1. Did not get into the inside wall, but we're seeing some of the other drivers in the middle of the field. You've seen this of Gregory Shaw, that of Thomas Walter, both side by side, going through turns 3 and coming out of turn 3 onto the front stretch. One of the longest stretches here at Pocono. It is a drag strip going all the way down to turn 1, building up so much speed, and you see it there from that of seeing the 94 and the 99 of Hutztutler and that of Earhart. Bump drafting going into turn number 1. Zach, this is something we're going to be seeing a lot here tonight. Our teammates going to work with one another and utilize the draft to help each other try to move forward.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. You know, a lot of times we talk about 2.5-mile racetracks, we talk about these trucks having super plates on them, but not here tonight. You're still, though, going to be able to utilize that draft, though, to be able to make stuff happen. And you've seen it, Sean Huffsteller really giving the nice push to his teammate, and that is going to help propel both those trucks forward and make them go even quicker. I can tell you one driver, though, right now who's really hoping for some type of caution to get his truck worked on, that's Gregory Shaw. Major damage for that 66 as he's dropping back through the pack here early in the go.
Yeah, Gregory Shaw, one of those drivers that we knew was going to be aggressive on the restarts, but we're already seeing some drivers trying some mind games, as you should see that of Sean Hutztutler, seeing some drivers picking and choosing. But we're going to move up front for the lead as Ethan Smith getting to the inside of Vincent Sora and now trying to make the pass for the lead. The 00 trying to make the move, and we'll see it coming out of turn 1 into the tunnel turn of turn 2. How can Ethan Smith make this pass? And it looks like the draft's not in his hands, but he's still got the inside going into 2.
Man, Ethan Smith trying to show his hand late in the go in the regular season before the playoffs. He's locked in with that win from Milwaukee, but wants to get himself another one. While these two battle, it's letting the 1 of Brandon Colley close in. And what I've heard throughout the talk of the town, just from drivers doing practice this week, doing some practice races, it's came down to the 15 and the 1, most of those practice races, but it looks like the 00, we may have to add him into that conversation.
Ooh, you saw Ethan Smith there get close to the outside wall. Really had to crank that steering wheel to make sure he didn't clobber it, which lost a little bit of time, which is now giving Brandon Colley a chance to resurge up to the front. But Zach, we are now seeing some drivers that are up front that we've already seen win multiple times this season. Playoffs right around the corner. You've got here tonight at Pocono, Richmond next week. The pressure is on for a lot of these drivers around the bubble of making it into that of our playoffs, such as Tyler Dangler, that of Christopher Norris, Dakota Moniz, Cody Dorsey. Those drivers need to make sure they have solid runs tonight and going into next week if they want to make it into the playoffs.
Yeah, and speaking of guys who need good runs, you talked about a few of them, Christopher Norris and Taron Johnson. Right now, they're both 26th and 27th, and they are battling hard back here. Joshua Freed, they also got the 29 of Kyle Guildhouse is now. Look at this, the 69 tries to make it look almost 3 wide to the inside of Taron Johnson. These guys got to be careful, though. They do have one fast repair, but you don't want to be using it this early into this race.
Yeah, I mean, no surprise we're seeing these drivers get a little bit more aggressive in the back half of this field. We've seen this all season long, where drivers that are battling for practically last, willing to battle and almost take each other out on a weekly basis, just trying to gain every single position, but utterly ruins their own day. How can these drivers really try to help themselves to move forward without ruining their days?
It's so tough not to use the bumper or use the side of the car to try to get by somebody when you're faster, but you got to use patience. And the thing is, now we're racing against a clock that, like you said, it takes the patience out of that window. You really just got to be methodical and make sure your passes are made, what I like to call this a frictionless pass. You don't get held back. You make the pass, don't lose any speed, and you just go by and keep going. It's harder said than done. But that's what a lot of drivers farther back here are going to be trying to do as this race goes on, as the time clicks away. And another thing, I am getting word, Sam, and that race control has said there will be no caution at the stage. So at the stage, there will be still points awarded as we're looking at Danny Cochran, GT Arzari, and Kyle Rochelle battle here for some top 10 positions. There will be no stage cautions, though, at lap 25. They're going to try to get as many laps in during this 1 hour.
And that's going to be helping these drivers out a lot to try to beat that clock and make sure they race under regulation on laps and not based off of time. Again, 60 minutes were given to these drivers. They're running about 55 to 54 and a half seconds per lap. So they are calculated to, if they keep on staying green, to finish this race out before the time does. But that's if there isn't a caution that comes out, which, Zach, we're looking at when the drivers might have to come into pit road. They might be able to turn this race into a one-stop.
Yeah, you're very right about that, Sam. I think for sure what they're going to be looking to do now is stretch it to that lap 30 mark. As well, now we got a battle again for the lead. Ethan Smith really strong here today, showing that he can battle with this top contenders. Look at this. He's going to make the pass clear for the lead, take it out front here on lap number 8. With sword maybe for the crossover down straight away. A little block. It's getting a little antsy here. This is going to let Brandon Cloudy close up very close here on the back bumper.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these drivers, there's been, the rivalry building up Vincent Sora and Mark Whitley between themselves, but those two drivers are the most wingless drivers so far in this series, and that means there's pressure, there is, a target on the 15 and the 77's back, and that means drivers are going to race them a lot more aggressive, as you saw there. Smith willing to block, defend, and that slide job move going in turn 1, it works out now, but Zach, we're seeing it already. They're seeing the fact that the 00's tires might be getting torn up by these aggressive moves he's been doing.
Yeah, he could definitely be using a little bit too much tire right now. Maybe playing into the trap of Vincent Sora. Maybe Sora really does not feel the pace needs to be ran out like this way. And you never know. We got word from our pit reporter, Brian Johnson. He talked to a few guys. He says it's right around that lap 30 mark of making it on fuel. And if this race stays green, like he said, we should actually make it to the end. If it does stay green, with that factor being playing in there, maybe Vincent Sora is not confident he can make it to that 30 mark that he needs to be able to do. Is maybe backing it down here, lifting a little bit earlier, saving more fuel. The earlier you lift, less throttle time you have, the more fuel you're going to have in the tank for that truck.
Well, draft's going to be also a factor on how to save fuel, and I'm looking at the number 1 of Brandon Colley, who has just been staying in third, not showing any cards on trying to get aggressive or make any passes. But Ethan Smith wanting to get up front, and you see them snaking, bobbing and weaving for Ethan Smith. The goal, try to break the draft so that Vincent Sora doesn't have a chance to make any moves to the inside. But how much fuel is Ethan Smith? Like, he's up front. He's not utilizing the draft. That means he's burning more fuel than the drivers behind him.
Yeah, also this gap that we've seen, Sam, open up between our top 3. They've got 2.6 seconds back to that 4th place man, Aaron Kralik, who has another second back to GT Arzari, which is a huge train of trucks. So this is kind of what I expected to see from this front package. Kyle Rochelle looking to make a move on Mark Whitley down here in the toe turn. Maybe ain't going to have enough room to get it done. Whitley going to close the door on him here. But, right now I figured we're going to see pretty much a line of trucks lined up. Maybe these trucks here, the reason why they're lined up so much farther back, they've decided to save fuel, get back here in this pack, and kind of ride. Maybe those top 3 using a little too much fuel though.
Yeah, and with this line of drivers that we're seeing currently, of our drivers in the top 10, biggest mover of all of them is that of Kyle Rochelle in that of the top 10. But a lot of drivers in the back just thought, just for a hint, that of Gregory Shaw and Tanner Johnson contact. And that's going to be bringing out our yellow here. And Zach, this could be taking out any shot of these drivers finishing this race out under time.
Yep, that right there changes the whole game of this race now. Time is definitely going to be a factor, and we'll have to see what exactly happened here on the freaky fast instant replays. We're going back and look 3 wide. Anthony Ludy on the bottom down 95. Tanner Johnson in the middle, getting a little bit of contact to that 66. Gregory Shaw, he tries to save it, makes more contact with the 95, and boom, more between him and the 23 there. And unfortunately, there is Shaw comes in tonight 13th in points. He's got a good cushion, but Johnson, he's only about 15th or 14th there in points. He needs to definitely be getting the most out of these races.
Yeah, and coming over the radio before the yellow even came out, Tanner Johnson was immediately over the radio, kind of sounding frustrated that Looney even tempted to go 3 wide into turn 3. And that frustration then built up to where I think drivers didn't recognize that they were 3 wide. And there goes the caution coming out for a lot of these drivers. And with how long we might be seeing these drivers, expecting no one to really come in at this point. Again, this race could turn into a one-stop race. But Zach, they do have 3 extra sets in pit road of tires to work with. Do you think anyone might come in just to take a set of tires and maybe advance their way forward?
Oh, that's a very plausible situation you're saying with the amount of laps we had. This place 2.5 miles long, very high speed, high loads generated by the high speeds you carry through the corner. That is going to definitely wear those tires out. I could actually see somebody playing that strategy. We only need one more stop to make it to the end, or get to that lap 30 point really to make it to the end of the race. This is going to be a questionable call. 4 sets of tires. I would possibly be willing to waste a set here to have 2 more to finish this race out.
Now, we have seen drivers that have been admins that are racing on track actually advance, our caution laps to where it's shorter than usual. So we could be seeing, drivers being told, hey, this is your one time coming to pit road. Then we're going to advance to 1 lap. We'll wait and see if the admins want to do that here for this first caution. Update for drivers in the back, though. Gregory Shaw in the 66 has called it a day, and now you're seeing drivers coming into pit road. You don't want to make many mistakes here, and oh boy, a little bit of a checkup there from Ethan Smith. Got to be careful with that front nose for Vincent Sora with that checkup.
Yeah, that's something you commonly see a lot of times when you're at pit road. You'll have the leader of the from the pace lap there come in. He speeds up. He actually got almost up to 90 mph there before he slowed down to 55. And going from 90 to 55 is a big difference, and that's what you're seeing there. As Sora was trying not to give him his, really he was just trying to be close as possible so you can have the most advantage here to get out maybe back to that lead here. We'll have to see if he can win the race off pit road, but very close. Don't want to get any damage. Ooh, Brandon Colley looks like fuel only for that number 1 machine, maybe even the 41 GT Rosario also.
Yeah, both fuel only, 2 tires looks like for that Kyle Rochelle. And also you saw when we first were entering pit road, saw the 20 duck it extremely low under the inside pit wall, did not make any contact, but there was contact between drivers, the 20 of that of Thordick as well as the 25 of Cody Reed. Because of that shuffling that happened early in the front of everybody else, that accordion all the way through, which caused contact and damage to the rear bumper of the 25 of Cody Reed, as well as front nose damage for the 20 of Thordick.
Well, this caution has shook up a lot of things for sure. Still no stage caution at lap 25, so we could be looking to go all the way to the end of this race from this point here. They definitely would need to make another stop with 46 minutes still in this race available for the drivers. But this is an interesting strategy call for a few guys. Brandon Colley, he's going to go from that 3rd spot to the lead, just taking fuel. GT Azari, another one just taking fuel. Kyle Rochelle, 2 tires. That is going to be the other questionable call I want to see here. How does that work for him? Does it allow him to be strong? I did get word in a practice race that a few guys tried 2 tires, and it actually seemed to help the truck a little bit for at least the first few laps. I don't know if it's going to help the full long run, but definitely will help the balance for a quick takeoff here. So we'll see what our top 2 can do on the old tires, as the new tires, they're going to be starting back in the 4th spot with Ethan Smith.
Hey, 2 tires. That pit stop strategy helped Ethan Smith now back at Nashville 2 weeks ago. That allowed, to see the 00 get his 1 victory, locking himself into the playoffs. So, hey, 2 tires, a lot earlier than what we were expecting, but Kyle Rochelle going to be giving us a good indication of how good will 2 tires be against drivers that took no tires in front of them. And for that of Kyle Rochelle, and also for Ethan Smith and others behind, how well will the new fresh tires just try to beat out that of Colley and Irizarry, or will we see a lot of quick cautions? Because, short track racing, cautions breed cautions, but Zach, when we saw for the Cup Series, for the NAISCC Series, they brought out a lot of yellows at Pocono when we got these restarts, and drivers kind of got a lot more antsy, willing to go 3 wide on the entry of turn 1.
Yeah, and now we know it's going to be even a timed race even more. This race is not going to be able to be complete under green flag conditions. We're going to be in this race under a time condition. So now everybody's patience level, I think, even got a little bit lower. So I think, we're going to see some of those crazy moves we've seen from the Cup Series here happen. Can't look too far back in that inside row. We got our 2 great pals there, Vincent Sora and Mark Whitley. I know we always talk about that rivalry and how it's been brewing. I don't know if it's brewing anymore. It's already exploded during the season. So we'll see if that continues over here to Pocono. But Well, like you said, restarts are where the mayhem happens, man.
And, speaking of that boiling rivalry, Vincent Sora, Mark Whitley was talking to Mark Whitley before this race. And in his mind, he feels like, hey, they're even. They're good. But for Vincent Sora, he might think otherwise because he was the driver that got punted and moved out of the way last week that gave Mark Whitley the win. And Vincent Sora finishing out in second. We'll see how well these drivers really want to attack with one another. But it's time for another restart. The Get Wet Sports 150 is green once again here at Pocono. It's Brandon Colley, GT Irizarry, and they're already starting to fan out. And oh boy, here comes the two of Danny Cochran. A great launch from row 3 into row 2. They're 3 wide going into turn 1.
Oh, 3 wide. We said this is going to be where the action is at on the restart. Irizarry, not the great start. He slides back on them older tires there. Sora now that we're looking to take the position from him, but Danny Cochran, the one who got the best out of all of that there as he slides ahead of Mark Whitley. But look, losing speed down the straightaway. Aaron Kralick going to go around the outside.
And right now, you're going to be seeing these drivers all trying to fan out, making sure they don't make any contact with one another. But going into turn number 1, it is not safe for the drivers that are in the middle of the pack. But up front, our front 5, all single filed out, feeling good. But Mark Whitley still trying to get by Hutstutler, and he's also got Danny Cochran, who's still side by side with a 0-1.
Yeah, this is a very interesting scenario. We still got our guys on the old tires out front, but the new tires just not going forward like I thought. Is Kralick going to be able to hold him there as Danny Cochran puts the pressure on with Mark Whitley there and Hutstutler behind. But now the battle for the lead. Rochelle, he's going for the inside on Brandon Colley, while Irizarry's got Ethan Smith trying to pass him for third.
And just like that, you can see, even if it's just 2 tire fresher than the other drivers, Kyle Rochelle able to just cleanly make the pass through turns 1 and 2. As up front, we're starting to see Kyle Rochelle trying to pull away. And for the 21 goal, make sure he can gap himself before Ethan Smith moves his way up into second. GT Irizarry and Brandon Colley. Zach, both you and I, very surprised on the fact that we have not seen the 4 tires of Ethan Smith and Vincent Sora just kind of clobber and make their way forward as quickly as maybe a lap or 2.
Yeah, I expected them to be in the lead by now, especially already. And it even looks like the old tires are just hanging on very well. Brandon Colley's still hanging on to that second spot as Ethan Smith's trying to take it. Same with Vince Sora trying to take it from GT Irizarry. But I figured they would have been dropping back already to the clutches. The other guys behind that, but man, hanging on pretty strong. That showed me, though, that a tire wear may not be too drastic, or at least a fall off here in the early portion of the run, especially with this overcast, cool weather we have here.
Yeah, could be the overcast weather. And also, you got to be thinking of other drivers ahead as, oh boy, Ethan Smith making the move. It's Rochelle. Hard contact for the 21.
Oh, man, he destroyed it off of turn number 1 there. It just got loose, and that could have been a situation with the balance change of that race truck with 2 tires. He slams the wall, and that is something you do not want at Pocono. Damage on the front of your race truck is just going to give you so much drag. And here comes Danny Cochran, aggressive move down the inside into 3.
Cochran's now going to be making the pass as fast as he can to try to get by and move forward to catch up to his teammate, that of Vincent Sora. But Ethan Smith now takes the lead and now going to be snaking his way up and down, hoping that he won't give any draft help to that of Vincent Sora. And now the question is, how fast will Kyle Rochelle fall back, or will there be a caution that comes out to help out the 21 machine? But it looks like for Kyle Rochelle, it went from a pretty good idea being up front to absolutely miserable, because this track all about aero and all about the draft and making sure that you have no damage on your truck.
Yeah, and that is, like you said, it's going to be miserable for him now. He's just going to fall back slowly here with that drag causing that race truck as we look back here. Thomas Walter in the Hornet's nest here, battling back here for position as these guys all try to sort it out on the tunnel turn, headed down to turn 3. Also got John Forbes there, same with James Loveland, the 13 Alexander Light. All these drivers battling back here for spots.
And the 13 of Alexander Light, this is a great run for himself. And on the outside, been holding off that of Thomas Walter for the longest time. But Alex Light, I mean, this is an incredible run for the 13, who usually is running back in the probably around 22nd to 25th is where we've been seeing the 13 for most of the season. Now up to 12th place and trying to continue to move forward.
Yeah, he's doing a great job. Great point there, Sam. You know, he's really worked his way up through here tonight. In 13th spot, qualified good, so he's held where he's been stationary at, and that's great to see. A driver ahead of him, though, the 51 of Max Foner, he's making waves, though. I can see he's made his way from 28th to 11th. That 51 looking very strong here at Pocono also, as he's trying to make a move on the 01.
And troubles for the 56, back now to 18th. James Loveland got into the outside wall, heavy right side damage for himself. He's gonna have to work through this, but now you can see the scrub marks on 56. He's gotta figure out how to just move forward and hope that the next time they come into pit road that he will not have too much damage to repair, or just might have to fold with using a fast repair on his next pit stop.
And look at that, there goes Jesse Thornick in the 20, trying to make the move to the inside, and that's going to be a position possibly given over to the 20. That's going to be what James Loveland's going to struggle with now, with that damage on the right front. Same thing we see with Kyle Rochelle, just not going to have the straightaway speed, and that is where, you know, majority of this track is made up, is on these straightaways, and he's going to be looking to get that definitely fixed here at some point during this race.
And yeah, we're starting to see all the drivers staying in line side by side for 25th was that of Anthony Ludi and that of the 69 of Christopher Couric, but we're starting to see drivers trying to pick and choose when they want to make passes. And Zach, due to the fact that this is now turned into a timed race, at what point do the drivers need to make some passes here? Again, the drivers were only given an hour to finish out this race, but I'm now curious to see how well we're going to be seeing anything from Loveland, as he's continuously having issues, and also Joshua Freed and others dashing back and forth, but it is major troubles for Loveland continuing on.
Yeah, he has just not been able to get out of the wall here, Sam, and that damage is just continuing to pile up. And, you know, like you said, how do you make decisions on when you want to go and make stuff happen here? And it's a tough position to be in, you know, with the time here. 37 minutes, 53 seconds to go. As a driver, you know, especially someone back here this far at this point in the top 15 or around the 15th to 20th position, I wouldn't be worried about the time too much. I'd just be worried about trying to make clean, methodical passes. There goes the 47 around of John McAdam, and that's going to be another caution out on the racetrack. And that's contact from Loveland, who seemed to be somewhat of on a rampage here the last few laps.
Oh no, John McAdams, a driver that just was trying his best just to stay further back and out of trouble, but contact going to be made between himself and Loveland, and it's one of those things where we'll see on the replay here of what happened to John McAdams. But this is kind of those moments for drivers that usually are running up front and the drivers that are driving further back. The timings just don't match up the same, as you see McAdams getting into the apron, then gets bumped from behind from Loveland, and around the 47 goes.
Just a little bit of contact there from the 56, and you can even see Loveland there into the outside wall even once more, and that's just more damage built up for that 56 machine. Luckily for McAdams, doesn't hit anything, so no damage there other than the little bit of on the rear bumper from the hit, so no foul for him other than the tires.
Well, time's going to continue to be an issue, but there's a lot of other things going on in the garage, so let's get a listen. Brian Johnson up in the booth from our pit reporter. Brian, what have you been hearing down there?
So there's been a couple guys I wanted to ask some specific questions to about that first run there, and I got a chance to do that last caution. I was asking Brandon Colley, he was sitting in third at the time. I asked him, I said, what's it going to take around to get first and second? He was like, nothing. And I was a little bit confused, and then he says, look, he's perfectly fine in third, he's not going to push the issue, so he's, you know, looking for a top 5 tonight, I think. And then he goes out there and takes 2 tires, and I asked him, I said, did you mean to do that? He was like, yep. So I guess he was looking for a lap lead and some clean air there for a little bit. Then I noticed right before our first caution there, the 01 of Aaron Kralik, actually, he touched the wall on exit a little bit, and, you know, he was in clean air, so I was like, you know, what happened there? And he was like, got to the gas just a little bit too soon, and that's one thing that Pocono can do to you, is a little tiny mistake can turn into big repercussions. So unfortunately, he got bit by that. And then actually, Zach, he had, I guess, sent me a text message while I was out on pit road and asked me, you know, is Vincent saving? So I went and asked Vincent if he was saving that first run, and he said he was saving a little bit. So I think if we get a super long run here, maybe with a green flag pit stop, you might see some late run push from him. So you know, Pocono, big track, and a lot of varying strategies going on right now.
Well, thanks, Brian, for all the updates. We're going to hear from Brian later on in this race. And Zach, we're seeing drivers now coming into pit road. A little bit of mind games being thrown out. Ethan Smith, Mark Whitley, all staying out, as well as Max Foner, Light, John Forbes. We're seeing about half the field deciding to stay out. The other half coming in pit road.
Yeah, split decisions here for sure, and you're seeing GT Azari and Brandon Colley lead them down, and I'm not surprised by those two. I think we from the information our pit reporter Brian Johnson just gave us there a second ago, he said that Brandon Colley took 2 tires, but just from looking back at earlier, I thought he had took none. So we'll see if he had used a pair of right sides, but I believe he's got his first set on there. Same with the 41 of GT Azari, so. We'll see what those trucks could do on the newer set tires. It didn't seem like the older set tires was really hindering them too much, though, Sam.
No, not at all. I mean, they were still able to fight and defend, but you could tell that once they got passed by the drivers that had the fresher tires, it was almost impossible for them to retaliate and fight back. So now we'll see how the drivers want to attest here this go around, because it's going to be Vincent Sora, GT Azari, going to be those front drivers that just came into pit road, but they're going to be all the way back in 12th and 13th with drivers that are going to be a little bit further ahead of them on older tires. It's going to be about 11 lap difference between those that are on fresh tires, those that are on older tires. And we've just got notified that they are going to be pushing it to 1 to go for these drivers. So pace car lights are off. We're going this time by.
Yeah, it's great to see them push it forward there, get as many laps in as possible here tonight at the Pocono Raceway. As a driver, you never know what you're going to get out there on the racetrack. Sometimes you're through a few curveballs, and I think these guys are here tonight.
Well, they're also going to be pushing this forward because they know this is going to be a 1-lap shootout to see who's going to be in the top 5 for those bonus points. So all the pressure's on for the drivers that are in the top 5 currently. It's Ethan Smith, Mark Whitley, Max Boner, Alexander Light, as well as John Forbes, your top 5, as green flags back in the air for the Get Wet Sports 150 here at Pocono. Ethan Smith and Mark Whitley, how well are they going to be able to defend? Because, Vincent Sora and others are willing to fight back going forward, as Smith very aggressive on the entry of turn 1.
Oh, very, very aggressive. So is Mark Whitley, but he hits the bump in that second lane, slides up the racetrack. That lets Ethan Smith get clear.
Oh,
but we got a truck into the wall. I think that was Alexander Light who's sliding back in the 13 machines and stacking up, heading down to the toe turn.
As well, further back, it was John McAdams got back into the outside wall, but up front, it's going to be Mark Whitley and others trying to make passes. Whitley tried to get underneath Smith, was not able to, and you see Vincent Sora and others are trying to pick and choose where they want to go, just not able to, as the battle for the lead continues to be was a battle for sure, but now Max Boner making the dash for second. Ethan Smith out of turn number 3 for the 1-lap shoot up for stage 1. Going to be coming across the line, going to be getting those 5 bonus points for himself. John Forbes going to be getting 5th.
Great stuff there to get themselves some good bonus points here. Remember, no stage caution tonight, ladies and gentlemen, so we're going to keep it nice and green here, but Ethan Smith will definitely take that one with a smile on his face, as right now out front leading the race. And I tell you what, his main competition we've seen earlier in the race, Vincent Sora, he's back to 10th.
Yeah, I mean, right now feeling kind of a little bit stuck on where they're at. Drivers not really making any moves, as we see that of Christopher Norris from the 38th point of view, getting a test of how they're racing. As you see Norris currently in 6th place, rocking his VR system, racing here on iRacing.
It's so cool to get this view, and I never got the chance to do VR. I mean, I'm jealous of people who definitely have done it. It's got to be a fun experience to be able to. You see even Christopher there, he's looking, seeing where drivers are at. And that's because he's racing all around this racetrack here, trying to figure out who's around him and how he's going to make moves here as he talks to his team there on the radio.
Yeah, and you can kind of see on Norris's screen, there's 2 monitors. The one that's on the left of his monitors is him showing and giving us a little bit of a viewership help. And then his one on the right is actually his perspective of what he's seeing. So Norris giving us a little bit of a thought of what it's like VR. Super small view, but hey, still giving us a picture of what he's seen while out there on track, as well as trying to hope that he doesn't run over John Forbes in front of him.
Yeah, it's cool to see everybody's, their rig and how they got it going down. So pretty cool to see. And I know from him, he's been posting a lot on the session. So as there goes Vincent Sora by, you get to see a quick glimpse of him get by there. And so here comes the one. Brandon Colley, big moment for him. They're almost losing it. Same for GT. There's already back there, about 10 cars back. Man, big moments all around there for guys as they're trying to find spots here
Not late to going halfway, though, through our time race.
Yeah, and I think what we're seeing is the drivers with those fresher tires, they have to make aggressive moves. If they stay patient, they're going to be stuck behind these other drivers, as well as the power of the draft, as they're going to be going 3 wide here, trying to make sure who's going to get that 6th place position for a quick moment. But you can see the power of the draft. That of Kali had a great run at turn 1, but because of everyone being in line, wasn't able to hold on. Now going to be holding back is the wall of drivers. You're just seeing when they're side by side, it's so hard to make any types of moves.
It is definitely a roadblock here for Brandon Colley. He's tried everything in his book here to get by. Same with Danny Cochran. They need to get going as Vincent Sora, who's got by this here, has charged up away from him. And you can see Danny Cochran really trying to help, but that outer lane just really not able to get by here as they're going to be still side by side for positions. Man, you can see how hard the 2 is pushing that one.
Trying their best to get moving, but you got to be careful doing too much bump drafting and being on top of one another. You could be hurting your engine temps, and if you get too high of engine temps, you can blow your engine if you're not careful. As Brandon Colley able to make that pass, now up to 6. Norris still trying to hold off many other drivers, but you could just see the difference of drivers that are on those older tires compared to those that are on newer. Older tires, when they're on the outside, they just fall back so quickly. They got to be careful for themselves, but as long as we keep on racing, the drivers, they're loving the fact that we are green currently. But again, notification to everyone that's watching, this race is under time, and we are past the halfway on time, and soon to be halfway during the laps that have been placed.
Yeah, it's that's actually a pretty interesting scenario too. You know, we're halfway here, almost a lap's next time by, and we're 2 minutes past halfway on the clock. So, you know, if they start turning some burn laps, we may be able to get it done. But we're watching this battle here. Kyle Guildhouse, GT Arizari. Oh, look at the crossover here from GT. Great move from him there. He's going to have James Loveland and Kyle Rochelle bound behind in that 21 machine also.
Yeah, and I'm also going to be seeing a couple of other drivers trying to duck it low. But GT Arizari, one of the drivers that came into pit road, expected to see GT moving forward with the likes of Vincent Sora and Brandon Colley. But we've seen the 41 kind of being stalled out and stuck, showing that if you're not following the right drivers, you might be going backwards.
Yeah, no, it seems like you got to pick the right lane, and that is a common scenario. You know, even in the Cup car, I experience it a lot of times when I race. If you don't pick the right lane, you're going backwards. And a lot of times, unfortunately, the right lane is the one on the outside lane, and it's kind of the way that it's very stagnant. Everybody's defending for it, trying to hold that position, trying to get the draft down these long straights. But the inside lane is the preferred groove. It just doesn't have that draft and the extra mile per hour is added on there. Is finally he gets it done there and gets by the 8, but still trying to get by that car on the outside there still.
And then just a couple positions ahead of what we're riding on the board with GT Arizari, we move up to Jesse Thornix, who's now making the pass for 12th. He's also got the 0-1. Kralik, who's trying to follow in line on the inside, and seeing how the drivers trying to work with one another to make these passes done, pick and choose the right lane on these straightaways. They're going to get moved forward. You can kind of see Thornix and others battling with one another coming out of turn number 3. Everyone's still side by side, but up front, it's Ethan Smith, Mark Whitley, and Vincent Sora that continue to stay up front, trying to pull away from the rest of the field.
Yeah, and Vincent Sora on those new tires has closed the gap down. He's the closest one on the new set there, as he's now got up to third, 1.1 seconds behind Ethan Smith here on lap 32. The thing is, too, is if it plays out green here, I think the advantage goes to those newer tires, since I don't believe the 00 from where they pitted will be able to. Personally, definitely won't be able to make it from where they pitted to the end of this race on time. So I'm really starting to think these new tires, this call they made between the 15 and the 1 and the 2, they're going to be looking in good spots here as this run continues on.
Yeah, I mean, the question of who's in your ear trying to help you out is going to be very helpful as we drop back to the battling that's going on back for 14th and 15th, because there is a lot of racing action and drivers getting into the wall. That of Light gets into the wall. He's still wiggling it. It's dangerous. Ludi's going to get out into the outside wall. These drivers still all on top of one another, and that outside wall out of turn number 3 has been the danger zone all night long.
Man, Alexander Light losing the most out of all of that. I mean, he lost at least 8 positions in one corner down there in 3. And also got some damage with it, too, as him and his teammate Carl Pooler, as the 13 bounces into the wall and then bounces into, unfortunately, Carl Pooler, who does a great job of saving that truck. Now you can see, again, just dropping back to that 13 is having a tough day here after it started well.
It has been hectic back here, but now we move back up front for the battle for second and for the lead potentially. Vincent Sora now getting by Ethan Smith, who was our leader, fell back to third now. And Vincent Sora has done all the hard work. He's just got one more driver, but guess what? It's been his rival all season long. It's Mark Whitley that the 15 has to get by.
Yeah, you know, you talked to him, Sam. You said he feels like it's all over and done with. Vincent Sora, maybe not feeling that way. We'll have to see what his thoughts are as he's the one closing up on the 77. Similar scenes to what we've seen at Martinsville last week. He closed up, made the pass. 77 wasn't happy with the pass. He moves and now we'll see what does Vincent Sora do here. He elects to just wait and stay behind him here, put the pressure on the 77. I think it's a matter of time, though, with these new tires for him to get around.
Yeah, I mean, you can be patient here for Vincent Sora. I think he's recognized, hey, the next driver I really got to be worrying about is Brandon Colley, who's back and forth, who's over a second back from me. I don't need to pressure too hard here to make this pass, and if I stay behind Mark Whitley, I can save fuel, which could help me extend how long I can be out here, which potentially could be a race-winning move by saving fuel. So Vincent Sora, yes, you could tell he wants to make the pass, as Alexander Light looks like he'll be heading into pit road. Actually, I take that back. That's Martin Morales Jr. that we saw all the way back when we were watching the front stretch picture. But Vincent Sora, easy peasy, up to the lead. I mean, it's just, you can just tell those fresher tires making wonders for getting him up front.
Yeah, they definitely are. He was able to make the pass down there in the one as Mark Whitley kind of gave it to him there. I think maybe Marcus definitely showing from that right there. He's definitely over the whole situation. He's ready to get on and race just like normal here as Vincent makes the nice clean pass there to take the lead here on lap 35. Like you said, the next driver on new tires, that's going to be the one of Brandon Colley, and then next behind him would be the two of Danny Cochran. And we'll see if they can close the gap down, but I tell you what, Vincent Sora looking super, super strong here with this race win possibly in his grasps.
Yeah, I mean, if we take a look at what the different laps have been for Vincent Sora compared to that of Brandon Colley, who's back and forth, I mean, we're starting to see, you know, the different drivers and the fact that the pace for Vincent Sora has always been about a tenth or more faster than all the other drivers that are on fresh tires, which, quote unquote, fresh. They've been out there for over 8 laps of just constant running, and you can kind of see it there. A lot of time has been gained by Vincent Sora. It's only been 3 laps ago when we saw that Brandon Colley gaining any time on Sora.
Yeah, it's a big delta there in between them, and Vincent again turning just great lap times out front, especially once he's got to this lead position. And we're seeing Brandon Colley close it down. Ethan Smith, who, man, you could have put a piece of paper in him between the wall right there on the right rear. That right rear was definitely flirting with disaster as we got battles back here with Trevor Earhart in the 99. I think he's getting around the 57 of Thomas Walter back there around 9th.
Yeah, everyone's picking and choosing how they want to attack on one another. We also see this battling that's going on between these drivers of the 99 of Earhart and Walter for 8th and 9th. And then also behind them, that pack that just cannot get away is the battle for 11th place, where you've got Norris, Thordick, Loveland. This group has been on top of one another, it seems like, for the past 10 to 20 laps. They just don't know how to get away from one another.
No, they do not. That's for sure, Sam. This group here is it's been landlocked for them. They have not been able to get away from each other. Norris here battling with Thornick. You got the 56 of Loveland, the Kralik, Ludi, and also the 41 of GT Irizarry all battling here. 24 to go. And man, I just see there on the ticker, you guys need to go check out ButtKicker at ButtKicker.com. You can use that discount code FreakyFast20 to get 20% off of any purchase there at ButtKicker.com, and you can feel what you've been missing with many of their various great sim racing products, and also for other gaming such as FPS. So make sure you go to ButtKicker.com and check them out. But man, close stuff there between the 30 and Norris as he gets checked up. That's going to let Loveland slide back, as now here comes Irizarry with the 01 of Kralik. These guys cannot figure it out, Sam.
No, they cannot. And here's the thing for that of Kralik as well for Loveland. Both of them have already used their fast repair, so they're stuck with the cars that they have. I mean, the trucks that they have. They cannot get any more damage. Otherwise, they're going to be dealing with that damage for the rest of this race. So both of them got to be careful. But Irizarry now up to 13th. And A biggest surprise from that pit stop, Irizarry was up there with our front, Vincent Soria and Brandon Colleague when they came out of pit road, but now has stalled out back in 13th.
Yeah, he took those tires. I figured he was going to charge up with Vincent Sora, Brandon Colley. Just has not had that, though. So right now, 13th. And I'll tell you what, this guy is going to be good on the long run. So here comes Loveland again to attack him. But I think that outside line's going to prove worth is, yeah, he clears them there on entry. Very close between him and the 56. As now he'll try to get around the 30 of Christopher Norris, who's having a heck of a race there on the bubble. He's needing this, Sam.
Yeah, and at this point, these drivers have been green out front for about 13 laps on the drivers that came into pit road on our last caution. For the drivers that did not pit, they've been out there for about 26 laps. So they're going to have to start worrying about fuel, as Irizarry, great move for himself, almost getting into that outside wall. But I got to say, for a lot of the drivers, pit road could be something to look out for here in the next 10 laps, which is going to put a lot of these drivers around that bubble zone. And we're starting to see drivers already trickle into pit road that are up front, as it's going to be that of Sean Hutstetler and Trevor Earhart, both coming into pit road. They were up in the top 10, recognizing, hey, let's come into pit road, let's get our fuel tires, and hopefully by that of undercutting, we'll have the advantage if time becomes a factor later on.
Yeah, this right here is going to get very critical of where you time this out. 18 minutes and 35 seconds to go right now. With the amount of laps these guys have already done under green here, if they don't get a few cautions, it's not going to allow them to stretch this fuel run from where they pitted to the amount of time left. So right now, it's a tricky situation if you're Vincent Sora, Brandon Colley, and Danny Cocker, and those guys on the new tires who stopped that last time we had a caution, just due to the fact that they can get so close to the end of this race on time, but they're not going to be able to get there. So right now is the hard decision. Do you hit pit road early? Do you try to stretch it farther? There's so many different questions. If you're a driver like Mark Whitley, who stayed out there, Ethan Smith, I think you got to be hitting pit road here very soon. 17 minutes to go. I'd be trying to get that undercut.
More drivers trickling into pit road. Kyle Rochelle, Thomas Walter, as well as Cody Reed and Carl Pooler, all getting service done. And if you're coming into pit road, you cannot get a penalty. You cannot speed it coming into pit road. You cannot beat yourself a penalty entering or exiting or even miss your pit box, because those little mistakes could cost you on time and cost you a lot of positions for these drivers to get back out on track. But up front, now the question is, who will trickle in that are from our top 5? Because we haven't seen any of our top 5 come in just yet.
Yeah, none of them yet have made that decision to hit pit road. Right now, Vincent Sora opened up about a 2-second gap back here to Mark Whitley in the 77 machine, who he's got Brandon Colley closing up on him, who also has Danny Cocker closing up on him. So these guys all turned in similar lap times here around that second, third, and fourth position. Gotta say, Mark Whitley, for what he's done with the tires he has been very, very impressive. Been able to produce very good lap times here on this long run.
Yeah, and I noted on when we're going to see some of the drivers who are in the top 5 coming to pit road. Well, that driver being Max Foner into pit road for himself, going to be coming out, no penalties for himself. That Tyler Dangler just getting service done. Christopher Norris also coming into pit road, leaving us with about 18 drivers still needing to come into pit road. 19 drivers that still need to come into pit road. But time could be a factor here late. But at the same time and moment that I'm watching this, with the fact that these drivers are running about 55 to 56 second lap times, they are, closing it in. So it might be possible to finish out this race under lap regulation over time regulation.
Yeah, we are actually closing in on that point. We're really actually getting very, very close to that point. It may come down to really only 1 to 2, maybe 3 laps at most that we don't get to do. So we'll pretty much be getting this whole thing in if this stays green at this point. But right now, still, the question that looms is, when do you pit? It's 18 to go. This is a long track, so 18 long laps around here is not a normal 18 laps that we'd have at another racetrack. So you do have some time to make up that gap, as we're looking at GTers. Already put the pressure on Anthony Ludi back here around the 9th position. But yeah, Sam, this is getting down to crunch time. These guys are going to have to be making decisions very quickly.
Yeah, also, looking at these guys, GTR is already now going to be ducking it low, and also having the 71 of Carl Pooler. Pooler had just pitted, so he's on fresher tires, going to be trying to help Ludi out, and also might try to carve his way through, forcing it 3 wide. As you see, that is 0-1 Crowley coming into pit road. Thordick and also GT Rosario coming into pit road. So we're starting to see a lot more of the drivers in the top 10 coming in, getting service done. I'm liking the drivers that are thinking about the undercut, but how much of an advantage are you really willing to give that you're going to be losing? Because right now, Vincent Sora being up front with how hard he is running, he's still just a little bit over a second off of his best time, while some of the other drivers, they're about a second and a half off of their best times based off of where saving fuel. It's going to be a lot of tricky situations on who's going to be taking the risk of undercutting up front and who's going to be taking the risk of trying to extend it as long as you can.
This is it's so hard to say. You got, like you said, only about a second delta right now between the lap times here for Vincent Sora, between his lap time here and his fastest lap. So that right there is not a lot of fall off either. So you're not going to be gaining too much considerable amounts of time when you come in here and take these tires. But I tell you what, you're still going to have to hit pit road. The timing is still going to have to work out for these guys. I think you can't wait any longer than 15 to go, because I just don't see him making it another 14 minutes here on the set of fuel they have, especially for Mark Whitley, who didn't pit with them. So it's getting down to that crunch time. I think 15 to go is my time to pit.
Yeah, I mean, if Vincent Sora is planning on staying out as long as possible, here's what 15 can do. He can stay out for another 10 to 9 laps, but instead, coming into pit road now, going to be the first of the drivers coming to pit road. This is going to be forcing the issue for everyone else. Either you come in now, or you stretch it out for a little bit further, and they're all coming in.
Yeah, they all come in our top 4, all over the side. Look, here comes the 56, Loveland. Also, he comes down for that 5th spot. Does Ludi? No, Ludi's going to stay out here in the 95, first guy in the top 6, not to pit here as he continues on. Vincent Sora, though, heading down to his box with Mark Whitley, Brandon Colley, and Danny Cochran in tow.
Fieldhouse as well, going to be coming into pit road. A lot of different situations. Now, if Vincent Sora had stayed out, he could stretch it out to about 5 to 6 laps to go in this race. Then he would have had to make a pit road where he could just top off with fuel, just have enough, and then take off from there. Maybe take 2 sets of tires. And he could have made maybe possibly some moves there. But now, Anthony Ludi, Tanner Johnson, Cody Dorsey, McAdams, all of these drivers have decided to stay out. They're now kind of put in a situation where they have to stay out as long as possible and bank on a caution.
Yeah, this is definitely, if a caution comes out, it works out pretty well. As you can see there on our ticker is Advanced Sim Racing. You can check out our discount code FreakyFast5 to get yourself on some ASR branded equipment from Advanced Sim Racing. Make sure you go check them out, as they are a great a partner we have here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, involved in all types of simulation and chassis design. So great stuff there from them guys. But man, 14 to go. I was watching those pit stops. Some mistakes were made. Brandon Colley, I believe he may have had a small mistake into his box. I'm not sure if he got some damage from getting hit on pit road or what, but somehow he lost a considerable amount of time to Mark Whitley, who actually gained 4/10 on Vincent Sora on his entry.
Yeah, a lot of different, strategies going to be thrown. We might be able to get some of the knowledge that we're asking about. Ryan Johnson, you were just down there. What do you got for us?
Yeah, so I just did a quick calculation on how many laps are going to be left, and of course we aren't going to make the full scheduled distance, but at the time when I was doing these calculations, we had roughly about 18 laps left. Of course, time's passed since, so it's much less laps now, but at the time they were pretty much everybody was looking to be about 3 to 6 laps short. So I think everybody had figured that out, and then they came down pit road. At first I thought we were going to see a fuel mileage race, and I was going to be able to get a few differing strategies and see what is going through those guys' minds, but I think the consensus was that look, we aren't going to make it even if we saved from the drop of the green flag at the last restart. We aren't going to make it. So that's why you saw everybody come down pit road.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of drivers were trying to pick and choose on. What was the distance going to be for fuel? Was there going to be anyone that could? But like Brian said, just not enough laps into fuel to be able to save enough. But Zach, I think right now I'm loving the fact that we're seeing our front 4 still out there on track, trying to force the issue. Anthony Ludi, Tanner Johnson in 2nd, Cody Dorsey in 3rd, that of John McAdams in 4th. All still needing to come into pit road here in the next 5 to 7 laps. So they're going to be short, but hey, they're still doing their best. And based off their lap times, they are in extreme safe mode for themselves.
Yeah, it definitely looks like extreme save mode for sure. Is Vincent Sora now and back into the 5th position. He's 12.8 back. So looks like with 10 minutes to go here, I think Vincent should be able to catch these guys just due to on pace. But at the same time, just looking around and stuff, I mean, if these guys can stretch it to us, farther than I expect, then maybe they catch a caution at the right time here. It plays out well for them because everybody's going to be looking to take tires if we get a caution.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing. Our front four banking on a caution to happen, because if it doesn't, then they're going to be, just holding on. As we ride on board with our leader currently, seeing how much is he saving on the straightaways, and kind of getting a good sense riding on board with that of Tanner Johnson, as he's not really going full song into these corners, and we'll see if he's clutching it through turns 1 and 2. Turns 1 doesn't look like he's clutching, but still doing decent amount of trying to save.
Yeah, this is such a tough thing to do with these long straightaways here. It helps, lift it big into the corners, letting it roll through there, but you lose so much time to the guys behind. Nonetheless, if you can just stretch it here, you could possibly catch a caution to where the time works out, you win this race even. I mean, it's going to be interesting here with the way the situation plays out, but I think these guys have nothing to lose. Tanner Johnson, he is near that cut line, but he does have a few points buffer there to help him going into next week at Richmond.
Yeah, for a lot of the drivers that are up front that are staying out, you got Tanner Johnson, who comes in 14th in points into this race. You also look at Cody Dorsey, who's in second. He comes in 18th in points. With Dakota Moniz not showing up for Cody Dorsey, the driver he needs to make sure he's in front of is that of Chris Norris. And Christopher Norris doing everything that he can further back, but a lot of different mind games on how well they want to survive. As we take a look here at Vincent Sora, currently in 5th but might want to take a little look at what the lap and time difference has been between Vincent Sora and Mark Whitley, because these two could be the battle on who gets the win. As currently Mark Whitley a little bit under 2 seconds away from Vincent Sora, and he's been putting down some pretty good lap times between himself.
Yeah, he really has. Mark Whitley closing down time on Vincent Sora here, 2/10 last time by. I do think this is a little bit of a strategy here. This is, no reason for Vincent to go out here and run qualifying laps, but the one thing he cannot let Mark do is get within draft range. So he does not want to let him get within that 1 second delta that it seems like most of the time is that delta from getting a really good tow in these stock cars. So, man, right now he's about 2 seconds back, turning a little bit quicker times, about a 10th there again, almost 2/10. So we'll see if he can do it. 9 to go. I don't know if we'll get the full 9 in, but man, he's definitely closing the gap.
Yeah, the time that we gotta be watching out for, we are less than 10 minutes in time. Also, it takes these drivers about 56 and a half to 55 seconds to finish out a lap. So these drivers that are up front, very slow. Vincent Sora that last time ran a 55.0. As you take a look at the time that remains, that is the clock we're looking at. 6 minutes and 37 seconds left with these drivers, and we've got ourselves coming up to now 8 laps to go. So the time looking to be about 2 laps shy from these drivers even making it to the end.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be shy of a few laps for sure. That's cool to see. First time up here in the broadcast booth, we got a race timer to go. So that is definitely an interesting curveball we got thrown. But, man, it's coming down to here. I mean, can Tanner Johnston and Cody Dorsey, John McAdams, what can they do with the fuel? They're 6.3 seconds ahead of Vincent Sora. John McAdams is going to be the first one to be under attack from Vincent Sora. He's about exactly 1 second ahead of him now. Sora's going to catch him, but if we get a caution here at any point, these guys will get great track position.
Hey, I mean, it's a little preview for what we're going to be seeing in the new year. Us at Freaky Fast putting on a 6-hour Daytona event. Excited for it. So if you're looking at that clock, that's going to be something we're going to continue on. And we are excited for that 6-hour Daytona event. I'm going to be working for Juvenile Diabetes, and it's one of those things that us at Freaky Fast, we are excited to be putting on. More information to be given out, but signups already can be signing up for endurance racing. As up front, Tanner Johnson, Vincent Sora going to be your front two. The gap less than 3.5 seconds, and it continues to wind down.
Yeah, it's winding down for sure with almost 5 minutes to go. And a great, segue there, say with the race timer to our endurance race. We got
Oh,
coming. There's
no!
on the racetrack.
Oh my goodness. We were coming up to the end. Now time for sure going to be a factor. Cody Dorsey came into pit road, but oh my goodness, Zach, that changes everything.
Oh, man. And Christopher Curick. I don't know if you're going to be a fan favorite of the drivers tonight, but he goes down here in the tunnel turn. And big mistake here, just goes completely wide. He missed that by a mile there, bounces off the wall and just clobbers the inside wall and bounces right back into the racing surface. We've seen the smoke, Sam. My mouth dropped on the floor there, man. This is going to throw everything for a loop. I don't know what to expect with strategy now.
No, it's all about where is the clock at this point. 4 minutes left, and now it's the decision. We know Tanner Johnson has to come into pit road as well as John McAdams, but where does Vincent Sora, Mark Whitley, and others, do they take the risk of coming into pit road to get tires, or do you stay out because you know the time's going to be just a 1-lap run to possibly 2 laps?
Oh, man, this... I'm telling you what, this right here, I really would consider possibly staying out here. I just think you got to. I don't know if pitting is going to work. I think a lot of people are going to be looking to stay out here with the amount of times left, especially with the amount of pace laps we still have to do. And a pace lap around here is a long lap. I mean, you're looking at around upwards of 1 minute and 30 seconds sometimes around this place.
I think it's around almost 2 minutes. The pace lap is for these drivers. It might even be almost 2.5 minutes per pace lap. Tanner Johnson are going to be showing indication of coming into pit road. Same for McAdams. Everyone else, they'll be staying out, which we've already seen. Those older tires, they can stay out and they can still be very competitive. It's Vincent Sora, Mark Whitley, and Brandon Colley going to be your front 3, with Ethan Smith, Danny Cochran going to be your top 5. We wait to see, will admins advance this to make sure we go green on this go or not? But Vincent Sora, Mark Whitley, Zach, they're up front again, our front 2. We've seen it for these last couple of weeks of them constantly battling against one another, and we have been advanced to 1 to green. They're going to go green on this next time by.
Oh, this is this is definitely giving us more laps than I expected with this going to 1 to green here. This is going to shake out everything into a wild scenario. I think I'd imagine we might get maybe 3 laps in here, possibly. That's about as much as I think it could, or it could even be a green white checkered here.
I think it's a green white checkered. I think that's what we might be put into. If we're able to get to the green before we get 0, we might just go right into a green white checkered. But if we go green after the time limit has been passed, we'll wait and see if the race is determined finished or not, as we just are going through turns 2. Zach, we're less than 1.5 minutes away. The drivers still need to get through this short chute and then also get through turns 3 to get the green. Ooh, let's see how these drivers can attack here.
Yeah, man, this is going to be nervous times up here for everybody in the booth. Drivers sure probably don't know what's going on. They just need to know, put the right foot down and try to make it stick here, because we're going to be going green.
Time. Is it going to be a green white checkered, or will it just be a 1-lap shootout? We're about to find out right here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. It's your Monday night place to be for the NAIS Race Car Graveyard Truck Series. Pace car is off. We got a minute to race. We'll see how well they can do. It's Vincent Sora already on the loud pedal for the Get Wet Sports 150 at Pocono, and they're already going to be seeing our front 3 in line. That of Ethan Smith's actually going to be stuck on the high line, but it's Vincent Sora, Mark Whitley. They're going to be seeing what moves they can make as Brandon Colley right on the bumper of the 77 through turn 1.
Oh, man, I tell you what, that was close between those top 2. We did get the white flag this time, so we should be getting it next time by here with 35 seconds to go. Vincent Sora trying to break the draft down here to the tunnel turn.
Popping and weaving, heading into the tunnel turn of turn 2. We're going to be seeing how these drivers are going to go through this corner. You can see Brandon Colley wants to make pressure on Mark Whitley, but Whitley's just not fast enough. Vincent Sora's been the fast cat all night long. We'll see, can he get the pass done? Is Mark Whitley, but he's just not close enough to pressure it all. Coming through turns 3, 11 seconds to go. If we get the next get across the line before the timer's over, we might be given an extra lap. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We wait to see. These drivers still have the green flag. We're going to go an extra lap. No, white flag's in the air. This is it. This is your cosmic candle. White flag. They finish it out on this lap, Zach.
Oh, I'm so confused. I don't see a white flag, but maybe it's the white flag. We'll see, ladies and gentlemen, as they race off the 1. I think Vincent Sora might have to hold him off for another lap.
We're going to see him bobbing and weaving. We'll see when they cross the line, but it's going to be that of Vincent Sora. Mark Whitley's got to run. The toe coming into the tunnel, turn 2. Out of the corner. Can Mark Whitley get a good run for himself? But Sora still looking so dominant, consistent. The 15 into turn 3. Can he hold off, or will we go another lap? We'll find out when they cross the line. But currently, it's Vincent Sora up front. Plenty of gap between himself and Mark Whitley, but you cannot make a mistake. Don't get into the outside wall. Coming on the straightaway. Will we get another white flag, or is this done? Cross the line. It looks to be the drivers coming across. Checkered flag. That's it. They're wrecking even further back. It's Vincent Sora with the win.
Oh man, I was so confused by all that, how that worked out. But Vincent Sora, he wins it here at Pocono. What a job by that young man, the 15, able to get ahead of Mark Whitley and hold on to him here late to go against his rival, and also beat Brandon Colley, a pretty strong driver here at Pocono.
Woo. You didn't know what we were going to see with the time and the way it was all set up. We didn't make it on lap regulation, but based off of time, Vincent Sora holding off, beating out Mark Whitley, and kind of a taste of redemption after getting bumped and moved at Martinsville last week. Gets the win and beats out Mark Whitley here at Pocono.
Man, oh man, Sam, this you never know what you're gonna get here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, ladies and gentlemen. It's been another one of those wild nights, and man, I thought for sure we had another lap there, so I was kind of surprised we got the checkered flag, but man, he got it done. Vincent Sora is your winner, and man, after all that wild stuff that happens, I think the right guy won.
Oh my goodness, Zach, I've never seen this. We've also got Brian Johnson up in the booth here. Brian, have you ever seen a scenario like this before yourself?
I have never been a part of or seen something like this. That was crazy, kept me on the edge of my seat. That was exciting.
And it's Vincent Sora getting it done here tonight. Thanks, Brian, for being our pit road reporter. Vincent Sora gets to burn it down, and we'll be back up here in the booth in just a few. We've got that of Brandon Colley, Mark Whitley, and Vincent Sora to get their thoughts on the timed race, on how they got it done here at Pocono for the Get Wet Sports 150. We'll be back in just a few. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, for the NAISCC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series, the Get Wet Sports 150. What a way to end. It was based off of time. We only made it for 59 laps, almost concluded our regulation 60-lap race. But we had a few cautions, sent us to an odd place. But we're going to take a look at third place. We're going to throw it over to Zach for our post-race interviews.
Well, our third place man is the one of Brandon Kai. Let's hear from him after a wild race here at Pocono. Hey, Brandon, Zach up in the booth. You got a copy, man.
I got you.
Well, buddy, I tell you what, a lot of wild things thrown to us up in your booth, but I'm sure there's a driver you guys were thrown for a loop with that time situation. Take us through the discussions with your team and how you were able to plan yourself out to be able to pull off this third place position, man.
Like you said, the story of the night was just time, and it seemed like there just never was quite enough of it at any point in the race. I ended up being on a different strategy from what Max and Thomas were running, and I'm not sure quite where they finished, but somehow ended up all right for me. Not taking tires that first caution. I thought I was going to drop like a rock, but still held steady in the top 5 and worked out to get the caution right there where the stage would have been. So was able to hang on to some points there, got a lap led, and then it was just kind of racing the rain, as everybody was saying here in the session.
That's a great point. Definitely was something to be for sure here. Wild here tonight, Pocono. A great run nonetheless for you in the one machine, man. We got one race to close out the regular season here. We got yourself a win already in your back pocket, so you're going to be going off to those playoffs. How can you close out the regular season to help perform in the playoffs?
Well, go out and win Richmond. I feel pretty good there. It seems like the best runs that I've had have been at a lot of the short tracks, and I like Richmond. So it's nice going there this time, not having to be on the bubble and having to, secure a good finish to make it in. Got the win early. Would have liked to have had a couple more at this point, but we got enough of a cushion for the first round, so feel all right. Go in and just hope to win that race.
Well, man, I tell you what, you've looked good throughout the whole entire season. We'll see how you can close it out next week at Richmond. Before we let you get out of here and get everything set up for next week, anybody want to send a shout out to, buddy?
Well, first, thank you guys, Freaky Fast Broadcasting, doing an amazing job, and going to be excited to go back and see what everybody's strategies were like on the broadcast later tonight. Got to thank my team, Category 5 Esports, Zach Hall, Brian Johnson, Cedric Hunter, Larry Yingling. You guys I can't say it enough, you guys have done so much to help me pick up speed in these trucks just through various testing. And also the guys here at Max Motorsports that I run with in the truck league. Just talking through strategies every race and, just bouncing ideas off each other. I think it's just a net gain for all of us in terms of position at the end of every race. So I got to thank them.
Well, man, congrats on third. We will catch you next week in Richmond.
Have a good one, guys.
All right, everybody. That was your third place driver, Brandon Colley. Now we're going to move on to last week's winner, Mark Whitley. Just coming up one spot short to his rival, Vincent Sawyer. Let's hear from the 77 machine. Hey, Mark, it's Zach up in the booth. You got a copy, man.
Gotcha.
Hey, man, well, I tell you what, great position here for you tonight. Able to bring home second after winning last week. So another great run in the 77 machine. Man, I got to take you at the beginning of the race. Definitely seemed to drop back at the beginning of the race. Was that a strategic call? Because it seemed like the pace was there after that portion of the race. Once we got a caution there, was that a strategic thing for fuel?
Yeah, in practice, I took a page from last night and decided to do a full fuel run during practice, and I went 29 laps. And I was thinking, I'm like, well, that included the warm-up laps. I'm sitting there thinking, if I can make it 30, I can make it on one stop. And I knew we were kind of fighting the quote-unquote rain there, so I was like, if we get a lap or two short, that might work in my favor. But so I was just backing it off, letting it off, coasting in the corners, trying to stay in people's draft. I mean, I figured, I was thinking maybe, everybody would race a little bit smarter and we might go green the whole time. And I was just trying to make it on one stop. And then once we got that first caution, I kind of threw that out the window and I'm like, all right, cool, let's just go race. And then that last run, I took 2 tires. That was my plan from the beginning. I just needed half a tank of gas. And I was going to pit on that lap regardless. But then everybody else decided to come in too. I was hoping they'd run it a little bit long so I could get a little gap to them. But oh well. And then I started on that last run there before our last caution. I was starting to run Vinny down a little bit, but he had such a big lead. I mean, I caught him by a second and a half, but I wasn't going to have enough time to get to him probably. If anything, I was just going to be able to get to him. That was about it. And caution came out, and the rain was pretty much right there at the edge of the track, and we had that pretty much green white checkered. And I got a couple runs on them there, but the dirty air is so bad in this truck, especially on older tires. I mean, I got a run going down the short chute, was going to try to set them up and get up under them off of 2, but I let off early and tried to cut it to the bottom, and it just didn't turn. So I was just pretty much riding behind him, and last ditch effort on the last lap, I went in pretty wide in 3, trying to arc it in and get a run off, and kind of overdrove it and just kind of sat there. And I mean, second place is pretty good. It's a different kind of race. I know iRacing's going to add rain soon, but we kind of had our own rain race. I know the sky kind of looked like the bottom's about to fall at any time, so kind of fitting. But second place is pretty good. Getting ready for the playoffs, so can't complain about that.
Yeah, man, those playoffs definitely looming. Got Richmond the last race of the regular season. You think you can go close it out with a bang there if they're having a strong regular season so far?
Yeah, I think we can. I know Richmond's always a strong track for me. I'm going to give it our all. Try to see if we can't put this Harpoon Design Chevrolet up front and get one more win before the playoffs start. And going to try. I love short tracks, and that one's kind of a hybrid, half short track, half kind of speedway. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, man, it's going to be fun to watch you guys do battle there next week at Richmond. But before we let you get out there and get prepared for Richmond next week, Mark, anybody want to send a special shout out, as always?
Yeah, well, like always, I got thank Harpoon Design for coming on board for a sponsor this year. Always awesome paint schemes. This is kind of same paint schemes I had last night in the Cup cars, and this truck is chrome and red, looks awesome. As always, if y'all want to get you an awesome paint scheme, just check it out at harpoondesign.com. It will set you up with some of the best paintings and schemes on iRacing. And then big shout out to my family, always tuning in, always supporting. Always helpful to have a support group behind you. And then thanks to y'all putting on a great broadcast. Should be interesting to go back and watch this one. I know in the car it was a very kind of stressful because we didn't never know if we were going to get to the end under laps, if the rain was going to get there soon. So should be interesting to go back and watch. I know in the car it was pretty stressful, but watching it back, I should be able to kick back and relax. And thanks to everybody in the league. It was a pretty clean race. We had a couple cautions, but I mean that's kind of inevitable with as many cars as we have. But for the most part, it was pretty clean and green. And look forward to next week.
All righty, Mark. Congrats on second here tonight, man. We'll catch you at Richmond.
All right. Oh, one more thing. Congrats on Vinny. I know me and him have had our issues, but he ran a hell of a race, and I feel like we've tried to put all the bad blood behind us and just kind of go up and race hard with each other. So hopefully, continue this throughout the rest of the season.
All righty, Mark, man. You have a great night, and we'll catch you again, Richmond, buddy.
Later.
All right, everybody. That was your second place driver in the 77 of Mark Whitley. Now we're moving on to the 15 of Vincent Sora. Mark Whitley says there's water under the bridge. We'll have to see if it can continue as we got the playoffs looming. So those two definitely rivals. Let's hear from Mark Whitley's rival here, Vincent Sora. Vincent, it's that call to move. You got a copy, buddy.
Yeah, I hear you, man.
Well, I tell you what, buddy, a victory here tonight at the Pocono Raceway. How does that feel after, coming in here? So many different circumstances, not only, this tough track to race on with the draft and how it plays out and getting to the lead is so critical, but also had the time to race against tonight. How was it from the driver's seat?
Oh, it was wild having so many things to have to kind of keep an eye on throughout the race. It certainly throws something different into what we do here. So, yeah, it was pretty fun. I enjoyed it. I love this track. I think I did pretty much everything right tonight. So for a change, that's really good to see. I'm happy with that. So, yeah, just really happy with how the night went.
Yeah, definitely a great night overall for you, man. Got to take you to that point, though. Coming down to the end, you think that it's going to most likely play out, maybe 1 to 2 laps where the time does run down to the end, but most likely you are going to be that driver leading if it stayed green. Then we get the wild caution at the end that throws everything up in the air. We in the booth didn't know what was going on, and then we get a 2-lap shootout. You got Mark Whitley behind you, and we know you two have not had the greatest time racing each other this season. So, man, take us through your mindset there as the caution comes out, and you got your rival right there behind you.
Yeah, I was pretty upset, like usual, when that caution came out because I knew that if it would have just went green, I would have had it. So that kind of sucked, but then I realized and looked down at the clock and saw that we were just going to have like a green-white checker to the finish. And I was like, okay, if I just kind of run my race and don't do anything too excessive, I should just have it here. Because even with the draft, that leader for those first couple of laps out there in the clean air and, kind of the cycled tires, he's going to have that advantage. And yeah, thankfully everything worked out for me in the end.
Well, yes, it did, man. I tell you what, it was a great race for us to come up in the booth. It was so fun to watch, and congrats on the victory. Before we let you get out here and go get prepared for Richmond next week to end the regular season, anybody want to send a shout out to, Vincent?
Yeah, you guys are doing a great job on the broadcast. Everybody in the league tonight, all of our wonderful sponsors, and specifically tonight, Danny Cochran, for a couple of reasons. You know, he's a big part of this league and why we get to do it. And he had a little bit of a stressful night tonight with just getting some stuff sorted out with the session. So big shout out to him. Really thankful for everything he does, whether it's making my paint schemes, being a good team owner, or just whatever it is. So, you know, yeah, just thinking about him tonight. So, yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right, buddy. Well, congrats again, like I said, on the win. We will catch you at Richmond next week. You have a great night.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
All right, everybody. That was your race winner of Vincent Sora. What a wild way to end tonight's race with time on the line, but he comes home with the victory, as I believe we'll be looking to pull up our race results here tonight at the Pocono Raceway to see where your drivers finished out tonight's race. As you can see, there it is. Vincent Sora able to bring home that victory. Second's going to go to Mark Whitley. Third's going to be Brandon Colley. Ethan Smith in that fourth position. Fifth going to go to Danny Cochran. Sixth going to go to Max Foner, our biggest mover throughout the night, 28-6 for him. Seventh's going to go to Sean Huffsteller. Eighth is Trevor Earhart. Ninth going to go to Kyle Rochelle. And rounding out that top 10 is Thomas Walters. We look through the rest of the field. Definitely some drivers who had some tough nights, most likely back there in that 21st position. Aaron Kralik, definitely got a feel for him, was running good early in the going, got caught up in some stuff and pushed out of the zone. There is man, a lot of drivers caught up in the night, but man, what a wild one it was here. Is me and Sam had a time for sure, Sam. Definitely one I can remember with time coming to issue.
Yeah, I mean, we knew once we saw it, there's only an hour limit for 60 laps at Pocono. If we get one, two, or a couple of more cautions, this race was going to finish under based off of time, and it did. Only got 59 laps finished, and then it was all on time. Vincent Sora able to hold off and get the win. And looking at the drivers points wise, this was the second to last race, the penultimate race before the playoffs starting. Richmond next week. It's looking like most of our drivers that are in the top 16 are going to be staying in the top 16. There's a massive bubble between that of Norris, who's our 16th driver coming into tonight, and Dakota Moniz and Cody Dorsey. Dorsey not having that great of a run, finishing behind that of Norris. So it's going to look like if you're outside of the top 16, you are going to be in a must-win scenario if you're looking to be moving into our playoff spot, which there's some drivers that are around that 20th position that have shown some speed, but it's looking like our 16 drivers are going to be going into Richmond. Might be the same 16 making it out and racing for the playoffs.
Yeah, that's the way it is looking at this point, Sam. Dakota Moniz not making the night definitely put a huge effect on that. Him not being able to make it here to Pocono. So, yeah, we're going to go into Richmond, see if one of those drivers from that 17th to 20th position in points can give themselves a victory to maybe propel themselves into the playoffs. And you never know, a driver who's outside the top 20 right now might get that victory that propels them with enough points to push them in the top 20. So a lot of scenarios still to play out. We got a few fast drivers in there in line, and it's Richmond. It's a short track. Anything can happen there.
Oh, it's going to be exciting to see as drivers getting amped up. Zach, any of your final thoughts before we finish out tonight's call?
Well, first off, I just got to shout out to everybody out there viewed, all the fans. We love calling this action for you, and thank you all for chatting it up and enjoying this action here. Shout out also to the admins here at the league, man. Got to give them credit. A little mistake here tonight, but I tell you what, that mistake gave us a whole different, talking point, and it was cool to add on. So great stuff here tonight from Pocono, a great addition. And I just can't wait to get to Richmond next week, one of my favorite racetracks. And it's going to be playoff time looming. There's going to be a lot on the line. Drivers are definitely going to be possibly taking some, hurt feelings from Richmond into those playoffs also, as that short track can definitely bring out the elbows.
Oh, I think of short track racing. I think of the bump and run. We've seen it practically at every short track we've gone to. It's been a driver that has moved another driver to get a win. Will the trend continue next week? And we're going to have to find out. But it's been a chaotic race here tonight. Like what Zach just said, thanks to the admins. I know there was a little bit of a mix up, but it gave us a talking point and a storyline to follow throughout the night. And it just makes Richmond that much more chaotic going into next week. Well, before we get things done here, there's one more man who has to give us the final call. So we're going to throw it up to our producer, Robert Moyer, to finish out tonight's call.
All right. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Zach. Thank you, everybody out there that has tuned in on YouTube. We do much appreciate it here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Also, thank you to the league admins and all the league drivers that make this possible every Monday night for us to call this awesome action. And, man, they were looking for the rain. We didn't know if the rain was going to come, and it did not come, but the race ended under time. Something totally different. I never called a race or even broadcasted a race that ended in time like that. That was something. This league, for some reason, I don't know if it's a jinx or if it's a good thing, but every week there is something going on, some kind of good drama, good racing, hard racing, bumping, smacking, you name it. But like you said, Sam, we are heading off to Richmond next week, so that is going to be interesting to see too, because that is a very fun track, but it's going to be bottlenecked when they pack in 30 plus trucks, there next Monday night. Man, it's going to be fun to watch. But congratulations to our top three here real quick. Vincent Sorer, Mark Whitley, and Brandon Colley. Great run. These guys have been on the ball. Ethan Smith, you got to give him a shout out too. The past couple weeks, this guy's just stepped up his game and just became fast after he knew what he needed to do. So congratulations to him and then all the other drivers. But with that being said, our next televised broadcast will be Wednesday night, Las Vegas, with Underdog Racing League at 8:30. Make sure you come out and join us and hit us up on chat, as we're going to be crowning the champion Wednesday night at Las Vegas. So we'll see how that all plays out again, like I said, at 8:30 here on YouTube. But you know what to do out there on YouTube if you don't mind. Hit that share button. It takes one click, takes another click. Share it to your favorite social media platform of your choosing so your friends and family can see this. But until then, everybody have a great rest of your Monday night. Have a great Tuesday, and we will catch you Wednesday night. God bless everybody. We love yous all. Peace out.